there were two things within the beta live stream for Arknights Endfield that has the community pretty divided. We've got some people saying they actually don't want to play the game anymore. We've got other people really excited about it. And then I think we've got people in the middle who might not be a fan of certain things, but it really doesn't change much. And other people who kind of like it, and it doesn't change much. They still want to play the game. What are we talking about? Well, the first one is the new update to the gacha system. There's some people not really fans of the standard pool situation. But in this video, we want to talk about the blueprint situation. The system that has quite a few people upset. What do I think about it? I'd love to know what you think about it in the comments down below. But what does it actually mean? Before we get into what I think about it, what could be the negatives of having a blueprint system and what could be the positives? So I suppose maybe with a system like the blueprints, it makes people disengage with mechanics that are core to the game, no matter what people tell you. The developers even said in the latest live stream, it's a core component of the game. With having people disengage from those systems, could it make that system become redundant over the longer period of time? If less people use it, do the developers see that less people are using it and then pay less attention to it in future and maybe adjust and give us different ways that we can do the things that we do through the base system that maybe worse versions of that could be better, who knows? But could it make that system potentially go away if people are disenfranchised with it because they're using blueprints? Maybe. I don't personally think so. What are the positives on? Well, I do think people who wouldn't want to interact with this system anyway, and I know there's a lot of people who are like, get filtered, but wouldn't want to interact with this system anyway, may not play the game, or may play the game and just not really want to bother with it, maybe watch YouTube videos and do it that way. Now, have a more potentially engaging way for them to get involved with the base system and maybe actually go on to grow accustomed and even maybe enjoy the base side of things. I do genuinely think there'll be people who probably wouldn't have wanted to interact with the base system in Arknights Endfield, then start playing the game because they're like, oh cool, blueprints are here, I don't have to worry about that side of the game so much. Maybe on downtime with the game or just out of curiosity, they start to tinker and realise that actually, I kind of enjoy this system. Let's investigate it more myself. Because obviously with the new system, after you've done simulations, you unlock basic blueprints for you to be able to use for yourself. And then you can even generate larger scale blueprints and start to do things en masse. You can also create your own blueprints and save them for other players to use. So people are going to be out there creating the most efficient blueprints and sharing them. Joking about in the stream actually, because there's some people mad about this. I wonder if there'll be people out there creating blueprints like sabotage blueprints to just annoy people who want to use those, and maybe community voting it up so people get shafted by terrible blueprints. I just thought that was a kind of funny idea. But I personally have no issue with this, if I'm honest. I do worry that if people disengage with the base, it becomes a less important part of the game. Even though I'm not the biggest satisfactory kind of person, factorial kind of person, it differentiates Arknights Endfield from other games in how they're dealing with materials and gear and such like that. I don't think it's actually really cool, and it kind of makes sense to the frontier world of us building this new world. I really like that, but at the same time, I do think choice is always a good thing in video games, personally. Again, as I say, I worry about that disconnect happening, and hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully they can engage people enough to engage with the base over time, right? I think that can be kind of incumbent on them as well. What I don't want to see is a reduction in the complexity, if you will, or the scale of it, right? I don't want to see its scope reduced to just make it easier and then it just kind of be a throwaway thing. I would like them to keep it there, make sure it doesn't dilute it, but try and encourage people to engage with it. I do think some of that is on the developer sometimes. If they want to create things within a game, of course, every game is not made for everyone, because then it's a game made for no one, right? That is a true statement. But it is also incumbent on developers to try and encourage people to play things that they might not necessarily usually try. And I think this may be a kind of middle ground way to attempt to do that. And on the note of why I don't really care, if I'm honest, is it is a single player game. as long as it doesn't dilute the base and people get disenfranchised with it and it maybe gets worse. If somebody else is using simple blueprints to skip out a big part of the gameplay, that's on them if you ask me. I think the base will be one of those things that maybe when there's a bit of a downtime in gameplay, it's a bit of a quiet patch. We've just had an event, the banner's done, and you kind of just maybe, you know, you're in between peaks of content. Because at the end of the day, we're probably going to have a slower rollout of content with this game because it's 3D. It's got quite a lot of scope to it, so it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to continually roll out totally new additions to the game with wholly new mechanics and an incredible wealth of content that we get in Arknights. And I think the base will be one of those things where maybe when you're having a little bit of downtime, you can go and have a little tinker with it, maybe adjust things, make it a little bit more efficient, have a workaround, maybe share your own blueprints if you want to. And I do think there will be those players, if they enjoy the game, if the game hooks them, will be like, you know what, I'm going to go and sort out my base. Let me figure it out myself so I don't have to rely on somebody else. And then if they just choose to continue using the blueprints, they're more than welcome to do that. Again, I understand the worries in a sense, because there will be the people that's like, well, what if it's a slippery slope and we start to see them not care about these components that are incredibly important to the game? I get that, right? I get that, but I don't think it will. I'm looking on the positive side of Arknights Endfield. Maybe it's a bias because I'm really excited for the game, but that stream for me was a huge W. I get the standard banner situation. I get the idea of not wanting to dilute the standard banner, but I also get the idea of trying something different. I kind of like the rotation banner, and they did say that some will only appear in that. So maybe we will see standard 6 stars that go into that, or some of those limiteds actually will end up in the standard banner, but some of them just won't. And the blueprint as well for me, I'm like, I get the worry, but for a single player game, for me personally, now again, I totally get people's opinions. People have got different opinions on this. The blueprints themselves, I don't think it's negatively going to affect the game. Now, I might be wrong. Maybe people disengage with it. Even people who kind of like the base are like, well, whatever, I'll just copy that over, done, I'll go do something else. But then again, I think that's incumbent on Hypergryph to not make you want to do that. And then if they decide to start filtering it, diluting it down because of that, then, okay, we can maybe have a conversation where it might have made the game lesser. I honestly don't think that's going to happen. You can see from how they spoke in the live stream today, they really like the base building side of things. We've got a very much smaller, simpler version in Arknights. That's something that they actually want to bring to their game. You can tell they're quite passionate about that. So I don't think it's going to go away. I think they're just going to introduce new ways to try and encourage people to engage with it. And I honestly think that's a good thing. I know some people in the Arknights community are going to disagree with me on this, and it is totally fine. This is what it's all about, having conversations about the games we're looking forward to without trying to get too dramatic about things, right? I get it. If the banner system and this new blueprint system has made you not want to play the game, understandable. I get that. I am so excited about the game now. These changes are not going to change for me. Again, the blueprint system, I don't mind it. I won't even lie. I am going to enjoy building my base. Maybe now and again, I don't know, if I'm rushed for time at a particular time, I've got something else to do, I'm an adult, maybe I've got a stream to set up, or I'm doing something else with another game and I just need to make something super quick. Maybe I'll even use it myself. I hope I won't be in that situation and I can just build my own, and then I can even rip that out and then do my own anyway. Maybe. The banner situation, a bit more understandable. We have to get a little bit more clarification on how that's all going to work. What is actually going to happen with the standard banner? Blueprints. I am on the fence of that. I think it will be a net positive for the game more than a net negative. Once again, I understand the concerns, but I do think it will encourage more people to inevitably be involved with the base system rather than just filtering people. I know we joke around in the memes about get filtered and all that sort of stuff, but I do want Endfield to be successful. And Enfield isn't going to be able to rely on the maybe a massive mobile base like Arknights did, because who knows what it's going to run like for most mobiles. We saw it running on an iPhone 17, but it might not be able to rely on that huge audience of mobile players that are maybe funding the game through skins or whatever, because we're probably going to see a lot less of that because it's a 3D game. So I do think trying to encourage people to engage with the systems in the game and trying to branch out to new players. I understand. I think sometimes there's a fear within communities of other communities potentially coming in and turning the game into something you don't want it to be, or the community into something you don't want to be. And I'm not only just saying that's the case. I understand the concerns from a gameplay side of things as well. I don't think they're going to come to fruition, if I'm honest. I might be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up, right? But as systems go, I think it's okay. And I am always a type of gamer, more choice for the player. It's always better. A new option is always better. A new way to play a game is always better. There's rarely times in a video game that an extra option makes a game worse. They haven't diluted the base system. All they've done is allow people who are not going to interact with it and maybe don't want to interact with it, or will just literally use YouTube videos. I just got a blueprint. To me, I don't really see much difference in somebody using a blueprint than watching a video and doing it step by step. It's just going to take them less time. Now, you might have really valid points as to why actually this is why A, B, and C, this could potentially be bad for the game. Rather, I'd love to hear your views rather than I just don't like this. And if you don't like it, I'm not dismissing your opinion, but I really would genuinely like to see, so I can think about it myself. Why having a blueprint system, does it make the game worse? I genuinely, and I'm asking this honestly, I'd love to know. Okay, so guys, let me know what you think down below. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and let's have a conversation about Arknights Endfield. And I'll see you all in the next one. Ta-ra.